But I want to start at the top of the show with something else. It's a piece I wrote a while back, which did generate quite a bit of buzz because people love arguing about this. But we're in the age of the really big transfer. Like people want 100 million, 150 million, whatever. And I went back and I looked at the top 10 transfers by transfer price at each position. So goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, forward. And I asked myself, on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely would you be, knowing what you know now, knowing how it turned out, how likely would you be to repeat the deal? With, 1 means absolutely not, never. 5, man, this guy far surpassed expectations. And 3 means, yeah, it was a really good deal. I'm doing this again.
Yeah.
What I found, and I want to get your view on this, and you've got the ratings in front of you, you can debate this. Some of them did cause some debate. I think mostly from people who don't quite understand the criteria. But what I found is that actually generally, goalkeepers and defenders, even when they're really expensive, fewer really bad deals. Midfielders, and especially forwards, all over the shop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I concluded reading your quite fascinating article. I agree with most of the grades. I mean, there's a few that you can always debate on. I think you were harsh on Gareth Bale.
I knew that was coming. We're going to discuss that later.
That was coming. Do you think... So there's the other big thing, which we know that pretty much all the deals over 100 million euros have been very difficult for those players to justify in a way the price tag, and for them to do well in those clubs. Apart from Cristiano, I guess that you can count almost twice the move from United to Real Madrid and then Real Madrid to Juventus. But of course, the likes of Paul Pogba and Joao Felix and Neymar and plenty of others, Ousmane Dembele, Coutinho, over the 100 million, it's a struggle. I don't know if it's too heavy to carry. Maybe.
I think there's an element of risk that clubs, when you go beyond 100 million, you're talking about a transformational superstar player. That's what you hope to be getting, right? And there's so many more risks to it. It's almost like a high risk, or they think of it as a high risk, high reward. Because if the guy turns into Messi, oh look, it's high reward. I'd pay 100 million for Messi. The problem is, it's high risk, and I'm not sure how often it is high reward. So. And the other thing is, there's sometimes risks that are far beyond your control. It could be injuries. I'll give you an interesting example, right? Or interesting to me. Kylian Mbappe. Again, on my rating from 1 to 5, where 3 means he lived up to expectations, you do it again. 4 means he surpassed expectations. So Kylian Mbappe, I went with the transfer mark numbers. We can massage them a little bit because there's bonuses and whatever. But 180 million, second most expensive player of all time after Neymar. I gave that a 4. And I gave that a 4 because he's played really well, he's retained his value, his stardom has grown, I think, maybe even faster than Paris Saint-Germain had expected. But here's the rub. Paris Saint-Germain nearly lost him for nothing. If he had signed for Real Madrid, I would have given that deal a 2. Because after 4 years, other than 3 years or 4 years, I guess, of 5 years of Mbappe, you've got nothing to show with it. You don't have a Champions League. If anything, you've got the idea that you have one of the greatest future stars in world football, current and future stars, and you lose him for nothing.
Yeah.
And so people don't evaluate this. And again, we can get into Gareth Bale more. People say, oh, but he had the injuries in the club and the media were mean to him. I'm like, yeah, but that's what happened. And he signed that big contract. But these are things that happen, and some of these things are beyond your control. So I'm not saying that you should never go and spend a ton of money, but I look at which players I gave a 5 out of 5 for their deals, and the only ones are Buffon, and that was an insane deal back then, but obviously he played for the club for nearly 20 years and obviously paid off. Manuel Neuer, again, 10 years and counting. Tremendous captain, tremendous servant. Cristiano Ronaldo to Real Madrid. I don't think anybody's going to argue with that.
Nope.
I gave 5 out of 5 to Zidane to Real Madrid. Maybe it should be 4 now. With hindsight. I factored in the fact that if Zidane then never moves to Real Madrid, he never becomes Real Madrid manager. And obviously he won those Champions League titles and was very important. Maybe that shouldn't factor into it. But, there's a lot of patterns here that we're going to get into on the Gab and Jules podcast.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.